As Nigeria marks its 60th independence anniversary, we'll take a look at how the country has fared in infrastructure development. Well, joining us now to talk some more is Rotimi Amaechi, the Minister of Transportation in Nigeria. Glad to have you join us, Minister.
Thank you very much.
Good, fantastic. Let's begin. Nigeria is 60. I want you, Minister, to give Nigerians a reasonable assessment of where we are at concerning our infrastructure development. Mind you, I was listening, I think it was yesterday before it's on TV, where you were in a church and you said, I'm a Catholic, and the Reverend Father has invited us to speak truth. So I want you to tell Nigerians the truth about where we are at concerning transportation or infrastructure, really, in Nigeria.
I don't know if you know me.
I'm seeing you.
I ask that question because I find it difficult. And not about seeing me, it's about my character. You don't need to tell me to tell the truth. There's no need to lie because I don't want to die a sinner. Infrastructure, we're doing quite a lot, I'm sure. The problem with the country is that nobody wants to acknowledge that we're doing quite a lot. The President commissioned in 2016 the Abuja-Kaduna Rail. President Goodluck Jonathan did it. Yeah, that's correct, but he didn't complete it. He had done it about 80%, between 70 and 80% completion before President Buhari took it over, and we completed it and began to run commercial train on it. So Abuja Kaduna is completed and is functioning efficiently. Not even most people who use it wonder whether we're in Nigeria or not. When we finished that, we took on the Lagos-Ibadan. Lagos-Ibadan will start commercial activities in January. Full commercial activities. We've run several times free of charge, but we begin to collect money from January. After that, after Lagos-Ibadan, you talk about Itabewari. If you look at the whole this thing that we've done a total of 326 kilometers from Itabe to Warri. A total of 186 kilometers from Abuja to Kaduna, and then 156 kilometers, in fact 157 kilometers from Lagos to Ibadan. So we're inching towards 700 kilometers of rail. We believe that before we leave office, we should be able to achieve about 3,000 kilometers of rail around Nigeria. That is huge, huge by all standards. And in the sense that we want to challenge previous government to show us what they have done in that regard. I'm sure you're seeing what Fashola is doing in the area of roads. I'm sure you must have driven through Lagos-Ibadan, Port Harcourt, Enugu Road, and other areas. In fact, he's working on Abuja to Kano. And there's so many other roads that he's doing. We're improving on power. We're currently negotiating with Siemens on power transmission and power distribution. Generation is not a problem. We have enough power. The problem is how to transmit and how to distribute those power. So we last week awarded the contract for Kano to Maradi, and people were screaming, "Oh, why take it to Niger Republic?" It's important to take it to Niger Republic because of economic reasons. Most coastal territories, countries in West Africa are competing better than us in terms of cargoes coming from not just hinterland, the landlocked countries around us. We decided to join the market and compete so that we can make the Lagos seaport very viable. So we decided that since they are not able to use our routes because they are afraid of crime, they are afraid of customs, they are afraid of police checkpoints and all that, we decided to introduce the Kano Maradi rail so that we can convey their goods, and just at that boundary village. So we can convey their goods from Maradi to Lagos Seaport without interruption of anybody at all. I don't know why people are screaming about it. It's about economics, not politics. The president's wife is not from Maradi or Niger Republic. Neither is my wife from Niger Republic. My wife, by the way, is from Anambra State. So what could be the reason for doing that other than the economics of railway and development? We believe that before the end of this year, 2 rail projects should commence. Kano Maradi should commence. Ibadan to Kano should also commence between now and the end of the year. For Ibadan to Kano, we're waiting for the approval of the loan in China. Once the loan is approved in China, we'll commence. Kano Maradi, the loan is almost ready. They're coming in next week for negotiation of the loan. Once we negotiate and agree, and we'll sign the agreement and we'll proceed in construction. I believe, I didn't say we down, just watch carefully. I believe that by next week Wednesday, if the Secretary of the Government will add Port Harcourt Maiduguri to the agenda for cabinet meeting on Wednesday, then I believe that cabinet should be able to approve the contract from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. What is Port Harcourt to Maiduguri? What is the contract from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri? Because Port Harcourt to Maiduguri starts from Bonny, actually, with a deep sea port in Bonny, approved by President already, but handled by a private firm. And then a rail line from Bonny to Port Harcourt, from Port Harcourt straight to Aba, Umuahia, Enugu, Makurdi, Lafia, Jos, Kafanchan, Bauchi, Gombe, Damaturu, and Maiduguri. And then with a spur from Port Harcourt to Owerri. So what is left on that line will be Abakaliki and Oka. That's what is left. We are still talking with Minister of Finance on the funding of the Lagos to Calabar. So I praise the President for the courage of borrowing. And I asked the question, if we had all the money that the previous governments had, we would have done more than that. I have said consistently that all we need to complete all these infrastructures will have been about 36 billion. And I'm sure we had $36 billion before Buhari emerged as the president.
All right, Mr. Minister.
Satisfied you?
Okay.
Well, there are issues you raised.
This one.
Yes, yes. Happy Independence Day to you. You did try to provide clarity about the Kano to Maradi rail, which generated so much controversy. But you said they are coming in next week for the funding. Who are they? Where's this funding coming from? And would there be some sort of counterpart funding, or is this just Nigeria funding this project? Some people want to know what is the role Niger is playing in all of this. And yes, to fill the infrastructure gap, to close this gap is capital intensive. Do you think that we have done enough to woo investors beyond China?
I can't hear you. I heard you up to the point of to woo investors up to China. But let me take it from there.
Investors beyond China. There's been a lot of borrowing from China. Can you hear me, Minister?
I can hear you now.
Okay. I was asking you that, do you think that we've done a lot to be able to woo in investors to close our infrastructure gap beyond looking at China only? And about the Kano Maradi rail, where is the funding coming from?
Okay, well, I've heard you. The first is that Nigerians should stop thinking that there will be investors in railway. There are no investors in railway. Railway is quite expensive, very expensive. I have not seen anywhere that has been an investor in railway. Please, if you have seen, kindly educate me more. I'm not properly educated in that regard. And I've been Minister for Transport for 6 years now. No, I'm heading to 6 years. And if I've been Minister for Transport and I've said that I've not seen any investor in the area of railway, railways are capital intensive. Take, for instance, the Lagos Ibadan is about $2 billion. The Kano to Maradi is about $1.98 billion. The Ibadan to Kano is about $5.1 or $5.3 billion. Lagos to Calabar is about $11 billion. Who are those private investors that have that kind of money to invest? That's going to ask. So are we wooing investors? The answer is no, because they don't exist. What are we doing? Anybody who wants to construct a railway must come with sources of funding. So Motor Engel is a Portuguese company. They have come with a European bank and a German bank to fund the Kano Maradi rail. And you say, you ask what is Niger Republic contributing? What would they contribute? Yeah, the person is going to their village because you want their cargo. If you want their cargo, they didn't invite you to bring your rail. They are comfortable going to Togo. They are comfortable going to Benin Republic. They are comfortable going to Ghana. or all those countries around there. So what you want to do now is to attract them to a cheap form of transportation, a cheap and secure form of transportation. You can't, therefore, ask them to make a contribution. So we are going to do the $1.98 billion at our own cost, and at Maradi we stop, so that we can attract their cargoes and then get our seaport in Lagos to be more competitive as compared to Lomé, as compared to Benin, and as compared to Ghana. The other question you asked was, I'm trying to remember now, don't forget.
I think you've about answered the two questions.
All right, Minister, you raised one must say that I was watching that train, so lovely. It's almost like being in an aeroplane, really. I mean, the cleanliness, the place is quite interesting, and what you have explained, one understands. But the questions in the minds of some is the timing. I'm talking about, is it Abe to what we're just discussing about to Niger, the timing and the necessity of this particular project, considering other pressing issues. You'd like to explain that out. And then you talked about power. Now, the challenge we seem to have is transmission. This has been talked about over time.
And distribution. And distribution,
yeah, good.
Not
so
just transmission.
It's been talked about over time.
In fact,
what are we doing to solve these challenges? Let me be very frank and open, at least in my area where I live. I can now know, there's light. Even when they take it, it's structured. I don't know about other areas, but let's talk about that. What are we doing to overcome this challenge? And then the question of the Itape road to Niger that you're talking about.
I've forgotten your name. I can remember this one, maybe because she's the lady.
Ndi is my name.
Now, what did you say your name again?
Ndi, I am Ndi Amogo. Okay,
no, it's okay. Ndi, I'm comfortable with Ndi. Ndi is supposed to be Igbo, so I should be able to pronounce and remember Ndi.
Yeah.
Ndi, I'd like to ask you a direct question. Is life better now in terms of power than before?
Well, I'm supposed to be asking the questions, but let me just give you the benefit of the doubt. In my
No. You are a beneficiary.
In my area where I live, I can comfortably say that for quite some time now, yes, I've been enjoying power relatively. Yes, I can say that.
Okay. So you're the first Nigerian that I've seen that have accepted that since there's an improvement in light. Others just want to heap blames and blames. And no, I mean, to me, I'm not saying about to other people. I'm talking about to me, who has accepted that there's an improvement in light in his area. There are quite others who say it, but I'm talking about somebody I frontally asked before a live TV on a national network, and he has admitted there's an improvement in light in his area. Let's deal with the issue of distribution that we talked about. It's not easy. I was a governor. I bought 28 distribution infrastructures and had 28 units. And still, even though it improved a bit in Port Harcourt, but that wasn't the best we are looking for. We were looking for how to transmit light 24 hours. And we had power then. We had over 400, what do you call it? Megawatts. Is it? Yes. For which Port Harcourt needed about 400, and we had about 700. By the time I left, we have about 900. So what was the problem? The problem was distribution. And that's what we were prepared to do to get power to being fenced Port Harcourt or fenced River State, so that we're not found in the national network. So it's not easy to distribute, but the government is working and ensuring that we'll do our best before we leave. If we don't get 24-hour power supply, let us get 18, let us get 20 regularly, so that people like you and others can stop buying fuel and all that. But it's not even about you and buying fuel. It's about business. It's about the economy of the country. The economy of the country cannot grow if there is no power. We're mindful of that. We're mindful of those entrepreneurs. We're mindful of the young men who have left university, who are unemployed, who want to go into entrepreneurship, and they have no power. The cost of production in Nigeria is by far more expensive than the neighboring countries in West Africa, and more expensive globally. So we're not competitive. So if you produce this hand sanitizer that I have here now in Nigeria, you have to look into, and I used to, when I was a governor, I used to say, look, everybody is a local government. So you have your own security, you employ your security at the gate. Some people pave their roads up to the main road, and then some people have their own generator. You have your own water, so you're a local government. You don't need government if you provide all that for yourself. So what we're trying to do is to take away this from people and make it the responsibility of government, so that people can save some funds and be able to fund the economy as we proceed. You talked about Kano to Maradi. What did you say about that?
Yeah, the fact that
India, I didn't quite get you.
Timing, and then the necessity, considering all the pressing issues. That's
yeah. I don't know if you know how much employment railway generates.
Not really. I don't have the idea.
If you know that railway generates employment, and that as you move from Kano to Maradi, you're going to go to Kano, you're going to go to Duse, you're going to go to Kazare, you're going to go to Daura, you're going to go to Katsina, and you're going to go to Jibia before Maradi. Imagine the number of persons that will create job just at the beginning of the construction. At the end of construction, imagine the number of businesses that you can cite along that way because of the fact that there is transportation. So when you talk about timing, you ask yourself a question. Poverty doesn't have time. Poverty is everywhere. Unemployment is causing insecurity. You know, when we took over power, it was about Boko Haram. Now it's no longer about Boko Haram. It's about banditry. It's about poverty. And banditry is essentially a product of poverty, not just education. So you have to find an alternative to those who participate in banditry. So what we're trying to create is a source of growing the economy of Nigeria and creating opportunities for those who participate in banditry, for those who want to do real business and all that, to be able to move their goods when they are manufactured and reduce the cost of production around that area. That's what we're trying to do. So timing won't be an issue indeed.
Okay, Minister, what do you have to say to those who say the rail sector has gotten a boost under the administration, but not so much for maritime, the ports? Just yesterday, the president gave a renewed directive that all the ports in the country should be connected to the rail network. How easy a task is that for your ministry? And for those who say, yes, you're linking Nigeria, Kano, Dutse, Maradi, but there are other key cities, capital cities, and commercial axes that have not been linked to the north. They say, for instance, Aba, Onitsha, Kano. Are there plans to also link such commercial viable cities together?
And that's why I'm assuming you're from Benin, or you're from Edo.
I'm from Edo State.
Exactly. There's even, if you listen to me very well when I was speaking before, I had said to you that we're talking with Ministry of Finance for a possible loan to fund Lagos to Calabar. Let me tell you this well. Where is Lagos to Calabar? Lagos to Calabar is Lagos to, we're trying to see if we can take it to Akure, but Lagos to Ore to Benin. Benin, there's a spur in Benin that goes to Abo, that goes to Asaba, and goes to Onitsha. Then you continue from Lagos, when you continue from Benin and go to Warri to Yenegua to Port Harcourt to Aba to Uyo to Calabar. That's the Lagos to Calabar. We're seriously talking with the Ministry of Finance, and they're looking for funding, they're looking for loan to fund the Lagos to Calabar. Currently, I just told you here now that we're talking, we hope that by Wednesday next week, the SGF and the President will be able to put into the agenda of the cabinet meeting the Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. And what is the Port Harcourt to Maiduguri? First, I mentioned to you earlier, if you did listen at this one, that Port Harcourt to Maiduguri is Bonny first to Port Harcourt.
You mentioned.
Bonny to Port Harcourt. Yeah, I did. And I told you that there was going to be a seaport in Bonny, because you talked about maritime now. Mm-hmm. There's going to be the first seaport in Nigeria will be Lekki Seaport, and it was under this government. I don't know whether you remember that it was under this government that will commence construction of the Lekki deep seaport. The next deep seaport that will be in Nigeria will be Bonny, which we are trying to construct. And the third one, hopefully, will be the one in Warri, which the president has also approved. Again, the Akwa Ibom State government is trying to do Ibom deep sea port. They are partnering with a foreign country. So if you come to the maritime sector, you'll be having 4 new seaports. What you have, Apapa Seaport is not a seaport. It's Apapa River Port because it tees off from the ocean. That's the point. Tinkan Island is not a seaport. It's also a river port. It tees off from the ocean. The same with Port Harcourt, the same with Onne, the same with Warri, the same with Calabar. That's why this is about 11 meters. I don't think maximum will be 12, if at all. What we're looking at now is between 16 and 17 meters deep sea port. And that's what you have in Lekki, that's what you will have in Bonny, that's what you will have in the new one we want to construct in Warri. And I think that's what you will have in the Ibom Deep Sea Port. The Ibom Deep Sea Port is going through the process of approval. When we get the final approval, then we'll hand over to Akwa Ibom to go ahead and construct with their partners. The Port Harcourt, the Bonny Deep Sea Port has already gone through all the processes. What is remaining is a cabinet approval, which by God's grace, I hope my colleagues will approve it on Wednesday. So that answers the question, what about the other areas? And when I mentioned Lagos to Calabar, I did mention up to Onitsha. I didn't mention up to Benin. And I did also mention, when I was talking about Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. Port Harcourt to Maiduguri will include Aba, Umuahia, Enugu. I mentioned it before, Makurdi, Lafia, Kafanchan, Jos, Bauchi, Gombe. Bauchi, Gombe, and then to Damaturu and to Maiduguri. One thing I love about being passionate about this railway is that I get to know all parts of Nigeria.
Quite interesting. Something I failed to mention, I talked about timing with that road to Maradi, Niger, about timing and about necessity, considering other pressing issues, is the question of the amount of money, $1.9 billion, if I'm correct, that is going to be expended. And so one is wondering, where is that money coming from? How is it going to be financed? Now, that's quite a whopping figure, 1.9 million or $1 billion at this very point in time. Let me add also the fact, I think you've mentioned it too, because a colleague of mine just came back from a burial in the East, and he was lamenting about the state of the roads, going to the East. And I asked him, did he drive? I said, because what you're telling me means I won't, if I have to go to the East now, I will not have to drive. He said the roads are terrible. So marry those two before I ask my next question, Minister.
India, I can't hear you again.
All right, can you hear me now?
India, I can.
I can hear
you now.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, India. I can hear you, India. Yes, I can.
Good, fantastic. So I said I forgot to add when I was talking about the timing and the necessity, because other pressing issues on the Maradi getting to Niger. The $1.9 billion. I hope that's a correct figure. $1 billion that's going to be expended. How is the? It's such a whopping figure. How is that money going to be raised and at this time? And then I said that a colleague of mine just came back from the East. I think you talked about it, but maybe highlight on it more. The fact that the roads to the East, particularly towards Onitsha, are horrible. Just for want of any other word to use it. And if I want to travel, I may not then go by road. So I'm asking you to marry this together before I ask my next question, Minister.
The first question has been answered, and it was Adeswa that asked it at the beginning. So you should have known that Adeswa asked it first. Adeswa asked how will it be funded, and I talked about a European bank and a German bank that will provide a loan. And I said I expect them by next week so that we can conclude negotiation of the loan so that we can commence construction. I did say that. Then in terms of roads that you talked about, and first you say whooping some. There's nowhere railway is cheap. If you do, let me talk like my friends. They say Google it. Google has answers. Compare the cost of a 325 kilometers of railway at 1.9 billion. That's cheap. 325 kilometers of railway That means we've done due process to bring down the cost. But let's go to the issue of roads that you talked about. I drove 4 Saturdays ago. I drove from Abuja to Lagos. And I drove on good roads. And believe me, I don't know roads. I don't know the roads. I drove. All I did was Google. I was in Abuja. I said, Google Eco Hotels, Lagos. And I found myself in Lagos. That was a Saturday. On a Sunday, I returned to Abuja driving.
You drove by yourself?
Scared of rain, bad weather. I usually drive myself. Now, on the same day, I arrived on Saturday evening. Sunday morning, I left Lagos. And I drove from Lagos to Abuja. Again, I don't know road. All I did was put from Eco Hotel to my house in Abuja. Again, I went to Ekiti. I saw those roads in Ekiti. I arrived. There were some bad spots around Kogi State. I came out to where Dangote has his cement factory, and I was at Lokoja. Now, Ndi, please tell your friend, I threw a challenge. Give me a date. I will drive him from Port Harcourt to Enugu. Thirdly, and it's how we can see whether the roads are bad. I'll pay the flight ticket for both of you, and then I'll do the driving from Port Harcourt to Enugu. Any day you're ready, it's a challenge, so that we can stop these arguments. Most people refuse to go through the East-West Road thinking it's bad. They don't know that the federal government has done a lot of job on East-West Road. I'm ready tomorrow morning. All I will do is tell the president I will not be in the office on Monday, and I'll be in Port Harcourt on Monday waiting for you if it's Monday. Whatever date you take, I will drive you. Okay. I will drive you. Then let's talk about Onitsha. I also drove there were bad areas on my way to Asaba. There were bad areas from Abuja to Asaba. I drove when I was burying my chief security officer when he died. I drove from Abuja to Asaba. Inside Onitsha, the roads were not bad. The roads were bad from 9th Mile heading towards Benue and all that. That I agree completely. But when we got to Onitsha, we had good road from Onitsha until we got to Asaba. That one, I'm ready to bet money on that. Finally, when we took over, the second Niger Bridge was nominally on the paper. That's what it was. There was no contractor on site, nothing. But I would be glad to take you to the site of second Niger Bridge. They've done about 40% of the job, and that's in Onitsha. And the Minister for Works has briefed government to say that latest 2022, he should be able to deliver the second Niger Bridge. You know, there's a saying in my village that the red-necked lizard jumped, not fell, from an Iroko tree. He looked left.
Looked right.
Nobody was praising him. He looked right. Nobody was praising him. He then shook his head. I have tried. He just nodded and said, I have tried. I think we've tried. Don't forget, we don't have funds. Don't forget that by the time we inherited Nigeria as a government, oil price a day before we presented the budget came down to $28 per barrel. Previous governments had oil at 110, 120. Till today, we have not exceeded $70, $80 per barrel. And we are managing to pay salaries, we are managing to build roads, we are managing to deal with power, we are managing to deal with railway and everything. And I think that Nigerians should not just be patient with us, but be more understanding that the challenges are numerous. The roads we are fixing are roads that were awarded and completed by the former head of state, General Gowon. We want to challenge the rest to tell us the new roads that they've constructed so that we can go and look at it. Even us, most of the roads we are doing now are the roads that were constructed by General Gowon. So what you're doing is you're completely reconstructing. It's just like the Abuja-Kano road, total reconstruction. It's just like the Port Harcourt-Enugu road, total reconstruction. We're not patching, we're not rehabilitating. We are completely reconstructing the road from Port Harcourt-Enugu, just like we're reconstructing the road from Kano to Abuja. The same to Lagos to Ibadan.
All right.
We can't do all at a time.
Minister Amaechi, let me ask you, how efficient do you think the current institutional structure for the management of our transportation infrastructure is. Available statistics shows that the federal roads make up 18%, the state roads 15%, while the local government have 67%. Do you think that this current structure is efficient, especially how state governments have had to pick up the bills for some of these federal roads and refunds made back to them? How does this help? Does this even help?
Well, the law says that the federal government should construct interstate road, not intracity or local government roads. So if you look at that, you will see that the federal government would not have too many roads to construct. But again, what would differ would be the length of the road. For instance, from Port Harcourt to the next state, and then from which is Abia, and then to I think part of Imo State, and then to Enugu State. Those are the responsibilities of the federal government by law. You asked about some state governments intervening. The federal government pays back. I constructed the Port Harcourt to Owerri Road. I constructed the flyovers and the interchanges in Port Harcourt around Obirikwere, around Ajib, around where else? And I did some of the roads. They were about 100 and something billion, but the federal government refunded to the present governor 78 billion naira. That's a refund. It may not have gotten to the state because it's treasury bills that all of them will get. They refunded almost all the governors. I think about 35 of them or 34 of them got refunds. But and I'm happy that those things were done by the previous governments, not the current governors. So they are getting what the previous government did. But that's good. However, the federal government has, that's why the federal government is paying them. The federal government has that responsibility of constructing interstate roads. Let the state government concentrate on their own roads. I agree with you that there's a need to review the structure as it is so that the state government can take more, because the state government has the responsibility of linking local government areas, which is their responsibility to govern.
Yeah, which is indeed, I wish, that's not a question for you, really. Horrible, very horrible. I'm talking about the street roads. I drive through them. I mean, even the one that leads to my house is I cry every morning. I have to drive out and come out to the roads.
Where do you come from?
Where I'm from Abia.
Or are you talking about Lagos? Your house in Lagos?
Yeah, I'm talking about Lagos. I'm not talking. That's why I said it may not be particularly a question for you to answer. Yes, but I want to talk about some other thing. What's your plan as the Minister of Transportation? Maybe like a 5-year, 10-year plan. You know, the president brought up, established a committee headed by the finance minister and Peter Side, which all stakeholders were invited on board, political parties and all that. That is going to be long lasting. You know, so does the Minister of Transportation have this kind of plan going forward that can assure that roads started will be finished and, you know, continuity over time?
I've lost you, Indy. Or is that the end of the question you're asking?
I am saying, what's your plan as the Minister of Transportation, you know?
Okay, if that's, I heard that. Yeah. I heard that. No, the question is not meant for me. I'm not the Minister for Roads or Works. I'm not the Minister for Works. I'm the Minister for Transportation. And in transportation, we deal with maritime, we deal with land transportation in terms of making policies for roads. And then I deal with railways, and then inland waterways. So that won't be a question for me, unless you're now going to reverse yourself to say, what is my 5-year plan for railways? Then I can respond to that.
Okay, maybe go ahead with that.
Well, the first thing is that for every 1 to 3 years, you're supposed to, no matter how good the railway looks, you're supposed to do maintenance. And the question to ask us is, have you actually done the maintenance in Abuja, Kaduna? Which is one thing I've been telling my ministry to get me the documents so that we can approach the cabinet for money to maintain Abuja Kaduna. If you use Abuja Kaduna, it still looks new, but we're supposed to change the ballast. We're supposed to change 1/3 of the ballast every 2-3 years. And I think it's due now to change the ballast because we started running in 2016. So we need to add more ballast on the Abuja-Kaduna. What's our plan? Our plan is, can we construct the rail from, and you capture the whole Nigeria if you do it. If you do Lagos to Maiduguri, Lagos to Calabar, Lagos to Kano, Kano to Maradi, and then you do, you connect Kebbi, Sokoto, and Taraba, I think so. If you do that, you will have covered the whole of Nigeria. Then that will be the problem of maintenance. So what we've decided to do as a people is we are not jettisoning President Obasanjo's 25-year, even though I think it's almost, if it's not more than 25 years, it may be close to 25 years, rail development plan. What he did in that plan is to say rehabilitate the old narrow gauge. We're going to rehabilitate the old narrow gauge from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri, and then construct new standard gauge. Like you know, it's extremely expensive. It took us $500 million to buy rolling stock for Lagos to Ibadan. What is rolling stock? Coaches, locomotives, and their spare parts and all that. $500 million. The same. We'll buy the same for. Itabetuwari. We'll also buy the same for, it may not be the same amount, but we'll buy rolling stock for Itabetuwari. We'll buy rolling stock for Kano to Maradi. We'll buy from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri. And we'll also buy from Lagos to Calabar when they are all constructed. Our responsibility for now, as the directive of the president, is to construct all these rails and ensure that they take off and end at the seaports. We are doing that. The Lagos Ibadan ends at Apapa Seaport, and we are making an arrangement to connect the Tinkan Island Seaport or Riverport, whatever. Kano Maradi will join Lagos Kano, so that way it ends in a seaport. The Port Harcourt Calabar will end in Calabar Seaport, Port Harcourt and Donetsk Seaports, Warri Seaport, and then where else? And hook up to Lagos. The Abuja to Warri will end at the Warri Seaport. So almost everywhere will be connected. The problem is just the money. And I've said before, if I get between $36 and $40 billion, I should be able to conclude all that. Okay. But we're heading there. We're close to concluding that.
Well, congratulations on all this you're doing and you plan to do. But there's one more question that has just come in. I touched on the maritime sector earlier in the day because a lot of people say we are underutilizing our waterways, even with transport. A question from Olisa Agbakoba, a senior advocate of Nigeria. He says, are there any plans for a national shipping fleet?
Olisa has just been unfair. He's just been unfair in asking that question. The reason why I say he's been unfair in asking that question is because we have actually, he knows that we put structures in place to get that to happen, and we've not been successful. The reason why we've not been successful is that the law that currently sets up that national fleet says that, and I have had a conversation before in my office to Lisa, and I don't want to say what the issues were. Let me respect him and not bring it to the public. I'm sure he won't like me to bring it to the public. But what the issues are for me is that the law says that Nigerians will contribute 60%. Nigerian investors will contribute 60%, while foreign investors will contribute 40%. I went to Singapore with a lot of Nigerian businessmen. I assume that they have money to take up the 60% equity. And we got a foreign company that was ready to put down the 40% and bring vessels to start a national fleet. When we came back, there are no Nigerian, including Olisa, that's what I've challenged him before, who put down the 60%. So unless that law is amended that encourages foreigners to take up our flag, then we'll have problems in establishing a national fleet. The government cannot do that, and well, I don't know when my tenure. I know that no matter what happens, my tenure as Minister for Transport will end in 2023. It could end before then, but it will not exceed 2023. So if I know that within the period I serve as Minister for Transport, we would not invest in a national fleet. And what the law says is the law does not encourage government to invest. What the law does is that it encourages private investors to take up that challenge, and it made it 40% foreign, 60% Nigerian. That was the problem.
All right. Thank you so much, Minister Rotimi Amaechi. There, we can only wish you the best in your tenure. Happy birthday to Nigeria, and then to you as we celebrate today.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, India, and Adeswa, and may God bless you.
Bless you
Amen.
too.